you know, we're in such crazy times that, like, opinions that you have that may differ from other people, you're so protective of your opinions because you don't want to offend people, you don't want to find yourself on the wrong side of the argument or whatever. So I really found myself like being mute about a lot of the things that I feel, or at least share my opinion in safe spaces that I feel like there's room to have conversations and not just being shut out. And but one thing that I said, that some of the things that I'm doing to keep my sanity in these times, I wasn't going to share, but after I've seen too many posts about, these kids and the schooling and the frustration and the trauma and all of this, I really thought like I should share my views on that and what I'm doing for me. Everything is so uncertain, and there's no clear, for me, I haven't seen like the clear information for me to be like, this thing is clear and I'm gonna do it this way. So everybody's still just trying to figure it out. Even the schools are still trying to figure out how to educate these children. So I had this thought, way in the beginning of all of this, and I had my children in school, and then I pulled them out of the distance learning, and we're doing our homeschool curriculum our own way. But to really take a lot of the stress out of this for me, these are some of the things that I really consider and I'm implementing. And one, we're in these really heightened, stressful times for everybody. Everybody on this planet is feeling some kind of weight from this, from our current situation, And so that's already a thing on its own. Like, life is already a thing. You have your woes in life, and that's going on. And you put a pandemic on top of it, which adds a lot more, as we can tell right now, like the mental drain that is going on, the way that this thing is pulling on people mentally. People are breaking down all over the place. People are committing suicide. The stress of all of this is just a lot to process, just unattached to anything, just processing COVID and how it's changed our world. Is a whole ordeal, right? Now you add on top of that educating children in the way that we're doing it. So you have parents who are trying to figure out how they're going to feed these kids, first of all, because a lot of people are unemployed. They're trying to figure out how they're going to make money. All of this is going on. That's the stress of that. Now you have to educate your children to the same in this environment, and you're expected, to do it to this level, to this standard that is required of you. This is craziness. This is madness to expect all of this out of just a human being, and I decided to opt out all of the madness for myself and for my children, and these are the reasons why. So when it comes to schooling, I grew up in Liberia, and I left Liberia during the Civil War, when the Civil War started. But I was in the Civil War at the beginning of it, and when the Civil War started, the last grade I completed was 3rd grade, right? So we go through war, all kinds of stuff happen. I end up in the United States. I'm in the United States, but my age now is of 6th grade age, right? So I've gone for 3rd grade education. I've gone through the war, gone through stuff, haven't had any schooling. I'm now in 6th grade age. I come to America. They put me in 6th grade age. It takes me about a month to catch up, and that's it. And I'm caught up, right? This is after you losing all of these years of schooling. So in my logic, I'm like, all right, so I lost 3 years of schooling. It took me a month to catch up to 6th grade education. I ain't no genius. I was an average student in school, so not academically, I'm not a genius in a lot of other ways, but but anyhow, so I'm like, what's a year? What's a year? What's a year? Even if these kids lose a year of school, what's a year? When you're looking at the kind of environment that we're looking at, when everybody's just trying to figure out how they're going to keep their sanity. And you put all this pressure on us, all this pressure on these children, and when they're not getting it right, and we're not getting it right, and the teachers aren't getting it right, everybody's getting frustrated. It's like, pause. There's room for pause right now. We don't have to get it right in this moment. We just have to survive this thing. We just have to survive these times. So what I'm doing for my children, we're going to use this year for life schooling. Okay? And this is everyday life things that they're going to need in their lives as they grow up as adult. Right now, especially now when we're so divided and everybody's fighting, we see all these places as adults where we're flawed. All these things that we should have learned: compassion, love, empathy, reciprocation, like all of these things that requires you to be a decent human being, to carry out full, decent relationships, friendships that is meaningful and that is reciprocal. that's a daily word that we're using for my children, that our word was reciprocal. And it's just like, but just teaching them consciousness in this time, because it is time to be conscious and aware. And we're bombarding these children with things that we don't even know is going to be relevant in the next 5 years. We don't know how this is going to settle. When all this shaking up is done, we don't know how it's going to settle. So we're holding these children to standards that we don't even know will be relevant when this is all said and done. So I opt out. And it took me a while to say this out loud. Like, I'm confident in my decision, because I know what I stand on when I make that decision. My children are not just being brainless in this time that we're trying to figure it out. They're learning so much. They're on the earth. They're learning about the earth. They're learning about gardening. They're learning about music, their arts and crafting. They're learning about, breaking down their emotions, emotional intelligence. They're learning about politics. They're learning about medicine. Those are all the things that I'm doing. Those are all the things that interest me now in this moment. Those are all the things that are relevant now in this moment. So those are the things that their brain is being brushed up upon. And then when we can fit in math and reading and spelling and words here and there, we do that. But I'm not about to stress myself out and stress these children out to the point where psychologically we all get all PTSD out. And then when this thing settles, we don't even know how to function in it, So yeah, if you're stressing out about this, consider my option, like I'm okay with it. I'm sharing it now because I'm not seeing anything better out there. I'm not seeing people saying anything else that resonate with me. Like, yeah, let me try this. This makes sense, So that's my 2 cents. Feel how you feel. I say it what I say it.